And of course, he also developed in 1898 the application of Tesla coils for electrotherapy. And to me, this is very fascinating, and I ended up investigating this so much so that Tesla had a handle on the application from his own experience. As we see here, there's a quote from Tesla saying that high voltage electric currents are highly beneficial results in dealing with cancer. Dr. Kolcher was reported this in 1932. And Tesla also conceived and understood that the body tissues behave like capacitors. Everyone knows what capacitors are, the parallel plates that store charge. The body's cells actually do that. And in fact, I'm happy to share with you that every cell membrane is like a capacitor. From the research that I've done, found out that every cell actually retains a voltage gradient that's about 100,000 volts per centimeter, or 1,000,000 volts per meter. And this gradient is substantial. There's 1,000,000 volts across a 3-foot meters or so distance is sufficient to not only break down the air in some cases, depending on the electric constant, but in this situation, we find that the body of a person can be subjected to these high voltage pressures, they call them pressures back then, and also be beneficial in charging up the cellular battery. And that's the exciting part of electrotherapy. And so 100 years later, we're rediscovering what Tesla already knew. In 1908, for example, 100 years ago, they had the Hercules machine, which was a Tesla coil you see across the top, and also was designed as a rotary spark gap with various noble gases that also enhance the effect. And the noble gas concept was also combined with high voltage therapies. And this particular one with the handle is something that I actually was very fascinated by and decided to build a replica of it. That's also been called the violet ray, by the way. Violet ray is exempt from FDA rules because it's grandfathered. It's that old. And so I developed a Tesla coil in a suitcase, a very compact design, and the premiere, we'll probably have a premiere here tomorrow, so you can actually try it with high voltage on your body and see how it relaxes pain, gets rid of joint issues. Amazing the applications that you just discovered by trying it out. And then I worked on an electric chair, but we had to change the name a little bit. I really like the electric chair concept. I thought it was a great title. It's already had a derogatory application. But this is fascinating to me too, because Tesla also used the same concept and the same design as he lit a light bulb that you see on the cover of the Tesla, the Master of Light. And this is interesting too, because this particular chair has a very high resistance pad that you sit on, and essentially charges your entire body by contact with the Tesla coil output. And it was debuted at the Whole Person Healing Conference here in Washington, D.C. a few years ago. And so my book is called Bioelectromagnetic Healing. It summarizes all these things I just talked about, including the information that electrons are antioxidants. This is the discovery I made, and then I found out that there's at least one other scientist that's also published on this topic. And it's fascinating to me to know that as we pop pills in the morning called vitamins, and we take vitamin A and vitamin C, selenium, zinc, things that have antioxidant properties, all that's doing is donating electrons to stop the free radicals. Because the free radicals grab electrons from everything. And so free radicals have been associated with aging. So if you have more powerful antioxidants, it's been shown in television programs and the Science Channel has also demonstrated that you can probably retard aging just by having a high potency. Like lipoic acid today is the strongest antioxidant you can find, CoQ10, for example. But to have an electrical device that would be, say, in your clothes or in an external device you use each day, you can pump electrons right into the body directly. And as I'm stating here, electrons are antioxidants. Free radicals steal electrons, creating more free radical damage. And the 10,000 times is actually a quote from the organic textbook that I used in college. And I looked it up, went back to the book, looked up free radicals, and sure enough, as you take a shower in the morning, if you don't have a shower filter with an active charcoal filter, you're bathing yourself in chlorine. And chlorine dissociates at body temperature. And the chlorine atom is a very powerful free radical, and it replicates, causing 10,000 other free radicals in your body. So I encourage everyone to consider them shower filters. And of course, damage mitochondrial DNA and so forth. So, if you want to read more, the book is available. And moving on to the next connection is the permanent magnet motor. We're sort of getting an overview of 4 different presentations combined into one. Isn't this exciting? And we go back to giant rock once again. Now, what happened at giant rock? Well, first of all, and I found out about this in 1980, when I read a book called Sunburst Return of the Ancients by Norman Paulson. And in that book was a picture of UFO in daylight over giant rock, and then next to it was at least an picture. And what was interesting to me is that there was a generator associated with it that had something about for self-perpetuating magnets on the outer edge. By the way, there was a picture of the UFO drawing as well. And you can see that in this left-hand photo that it's kind of a oval shape across the top, maybe flat bottom across the bottom. And then notice the plasma trail below it. To me, this is very fascinating that the anti-gravity effect is probably associated with the field that is emanating from below the ship. And as I say, the deputy sheriff who took the picture is also here next to me. So this is a very authentic. I was so moved by the book and the story, the land of Mu that was associated with the early origins of the Earth, that I thought, I've got to go out there and visit this and see this generator. So I did. Contacted the organization, stayed there for years, and then ended up building a homopolar generator for a master's degree in physics, and convinced my professor to let me do it for a project, master's degree project in physics. So to me, I thought, oh, I've got a free energy generator, and I kept researching it and testing it, thinking that there's great potential here. But the interesting thing is that this is the actual wording from the original book. And then, of course, the later issues, the later editions of the book, he changed the title, he deleted this whole section. If you go on Amazon, for example, you have to get an old copy of the book to be able to read about this part of it. 12 magnets were on the outer edge. When I talked to Norman Paulson, he said it was a non-conducting disk. Well, that's not quite a homopolar, but it's sort of interesting that there's 12 magnets around here. And then 2 disks were involved to generate the gravity effect. And so I kept that in mind. I've kept it in mind ever since, as far as where can we find this type of arrangement. Well, this one led me into the story of John Searle. In fact, this book is available at our exhibit booth, Anti-Gravity, the Dream of Reality. And we had John Thomas, the author, a couple of years ago, give a double session, an hour-and-a-half presentation on John Searle. And John Searle is a living legend. He has so much detail about how this works. There's 12 big books he's written. Actually, John Thomas has helped author and edit for him. But the bottom line is, this particular generator has 12 magnets around the outer edge. And they just happen, you're looking at drawings that were designed by Russians who actually replicated Searle's work around 1990, 10 years after I got involved in homopolar. And they were German. This was a German presentation of Searle. And then the Russians found out about it, decided to work on it. And as it turned out, I found out through the Department of Energy, that's all I know there, emailed me and said, hey, the Russians are working on something you might be interested in. Sure enough, I recognized it. This is a Searle device they're making. And they're only doing the outer edge, the outer ring. And here's a kind of a simulation of how this machine is supposed to work. And to the left is John Thomas giving his presentation at our conference on future energy in 2006. We do have the DVDs available. And the fascinating part about the Searle disk, which is the unique type of generator, is that it, at low speeds, produces electricity. At higher speeds, it produces the anti-gravity. So all of a sudden, I've got a connection here. The two phenomena, energy and power, we all need them if we're traveling away from the Earth. This is the only device I've found that includes both. And so there's lots of people that have tried and failed in reproducing this. There's lots of extra, as you see details at the bottom here, connecting it with transistor type phenomenon. I don't need to get into too much detail, but suffice it to say, the Russians had done a lot of work on